with with area cup in mind, area cup number 36 that has just happened this past week. I I'll be honest. The thing that stuck out to me were a couple teams from the West that were participating too. There's also a bunch of weapons that also had a lot of airtime. I think we even have a statistic. I think we even had graphics for that. We
Yes,
gotta dig in.
yes,
Go for it.
yes. There is. Ooh, okay, okay. So there's two big things, at least when it comes to weapons. But first, yeah, I do want to talk about two of some Western top players. There's the tippy top players in a pickup called Tung Tung, like the brain rot Tung Tung, unfortunately. But also Vanguard, which is really cool, like a top EU group, and then Tung Tung, which had Gray, arguably the best European player in the world, so many in the zone major wins, has won major tournaments on every single role, which is like such a rare thing to do. Has Jared, who is the Splatoon World Championship, peaks rank 1 in tower control for the Japan region, and also has a ton of major wins. Jordan, who peaked 5,600 XP in the 10 attack division, but like that's absolutely insane. That's a crazy number. It's almost unbelievable. And also run the most recent Sanduki major. And then Yu Liter, who's won multiple in the zones and fry baskets, which are really high level, top level events. And it's just one of the best snipers to ever do it. So they played an area cup and it was absolutely insane. I gotta.
That's super crazy. Yeah. Just seeing this area cup, just seeing area cup that get played here as well. I think what's more crazy is that is Vanguard and the very aptly named Tun Tung being teams to participate, because I feel like, if I'm not mistaken, there are a handful of Western teams, pastry, that also participate in area cup occasionally.
Yes, at times. It's on the rare end. Like for example, a few air cups back, Kyo, and it was Kyo, Gray, I believe Bursty, and one more. It was like a mix of like the FT Wood roster as well as Gray. They played in a couple area cups back, and they didn't really like do like crazy good or anything like that. But it's cool to see. But usually it's more one off. It would be super cool though if more and more top level, high level Western teams start to show up in area cup, because like they love it too. They really love it. The Japanese CEOs.
Oh yeah, for sure, and I'm glad to see a lot of a lot of different teams participate, no matter which region they're playing in, as well here in Area Cup. But I feel like the most important thing that we gotta talk about with Area Cup too. So we know that the patch that dropped like the 30 or so weapons happened last week. I think we got a graphic that is readily available here that pretty much shows us, if I'm not mistaken, basically also the top 16. Is it like the top 16 weapons are the most commonly played compositions? If I'm
It's
not
it's
mistaken.
it's kind of like that. There are swaps. Like each team has swapped a couple weapons. Or for example, right, with the C2 team here, Yokai Gatsurike, Lobster did play one game in the finals of the Nuclear Rapid Pro, and the pen players swapped off the zap. So there was a game where they ran double cooler. But this is kind of like, what's the main comp that they use? It's like that kind of thing. But there is quite a few new weapons, which I really do like.
I just
Did
love looking at I love looking at graphics like this because it's always a surprise. It's always a little like one of those, like, I don't want to say an optical illusion, but it's like one of those Where's Waldo graphics, because then out of nowhere you spot like quad dapples and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, okay.
Oh my god, that group is a blast. There was so a bit of lore with that group. The captain of the group, Spadita, is actually an extremely young player, like around 13 years old. But basically, they got a bunch of top high level dabbles that do well in some solo ladder. Got them together and it's like, let's play Area Cup. And hilariously enough, yes, even with four dapples, they beat Norishio's group, which Mauricio is one of the best players that ever touched the game, and losing to Quad Dapple, which is like, wow, goes to show how good they are, you know?
this is a team that finished top 8, because I think we're looking at the same quad dapple team, which was Raccoon, if I'm not mistaken. What, 3 blue dapples and a red dapple being shown?
Yeah,
Is this like a bunch of one tricks here for dapples?
yeah. Like Spadita, for example, that's the player, and then they have Kaban, Medu, and Kura. Unfortunately, none of their POVs were streamed, but if you do want to check out like Mauricio's POV, for example, you can see the Zappos go a little crazy on the six. It's very humorous.
Yeah, that's absolutely nuts. I do want to take a look at some of the more. I'm reading this one, the most frequently used weapons that we've seen here. And if you were here last week for Splat Chat episode 3, we had to figure out the weapons that had a lot of airtime here out of Area Cup for sure. And I know, yeah, the third kit's mini showed up. The pro, even making it the pro and Dread actually from Hug out of top 4 showed up. We also had has been going crazy about the Rapid Blaster Pro and
Mhm.
making its way into the picture. I think that's the 96 third kit as well from Snap making its way. So we kind of see like a whole variety of them. But if I look very closely, Mini Stampers Pros and that Rapid Blaster Pro has really been feels like it's been the weapons I've seen out of the third kits here out of Area Cup.
Yeah, and the biggest of the bunch. Surprisingly, this is a gun that day one, day two impressions flew under the radar, but absolutely when the stuff hits the fan, it showed up, and that was the new mini. It has 190p Zuka and Beacon. At the
What?
time, we were like, yeah, like at the time we were like, it's Zuka's definitely good, but Beacon not too crazy of a sub right now. We had no idea. You can go into a game with no charge up. I've done this like 3 times on my stream. You can go into a game, just build a Zuka, and you can build it in like 7 seconds. It is unreal how fast you can build special with this weapon, and it's such a good painter too. And on top of that, the idea of a support with Beacon is really unique right now. Beacon with Cooler is such a good combination that people were running VDAPL sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes, just to have that combination of Beacon plus Cooler. Because if you can have that and you're on a walkout, your midlines can run forward and just take all the fights they want. It's so OP.
That Now, Nito and Fur, not sure if you guys have seen any mini Splatlings in your time. Does this surprise you at all?
So,
I'll be
I mean,
honest.
yeah, Neil, you can go.
Look, I'll be honest. I've been playing competitive Splatoon for a long while, and seeing a mini, well, it's not exactly what you'd call a rarity. It's something that you'd see every once in a while as a niche pick, to where it's respected enough to where if someone brings it out, you're gonna say they definitely have some experience with this weapon, trust in it. It's not something like Aerospray where it's just a complete toss up. Nowadays, I mean, I'm seeing a lot of these top level players. I see Zenith at one point talk about this being a game changer for the minis. So I think while I talked about how much like you saw it not too often, but as a niche pick, you're gonna see it a lot more now, especially what y'all talked about. The fact that it can produce like I'm not gonna exaggerate when I'm saying this, but I still feel like I am. Maybe like a good amount of Zukas per game. I'd say like somewhere around 10. That is crazy. That a weapon with non 90p Zuka is gonna be crazy. And I don't know what's gonna happen next. I know it got nerfed a few updates back, but I mean it's still as scary as ever. Let's be honest.
Mhm.
Especially with this comp, with this kit.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes, so
prior
insane.
prior to Dread and Big Swig being added, I mean, Mini was one of probably the 2 best painting weapons in the game. And it still is one of the best painting weapons in the game. It in Splatoon 2 it had missiles and it farmed. Um, like it wasn't common like K-Shot was I think normally better, but like I mean Bagel was a big a mini player back in the day. Like it paints a ton. They give it a support sub. They give it a special you can farm really quickly. Mini fights relatively well. Like you can go. I'm glazing, but you can go watch a bagel clip if you want to know that. Um,
Mhm.
but it fights. It paints better than like 95% of the weapons in the game. Uh, they gave it to go. Like that's kind of what it's about at this point. Mm, mm.
Hey, so do we now the 1 week review coming in from Area Cup is I'm sure that mini is probably gonna be showing up probably a lot more often. But again, it feels like time will tell if that sustains. We also see, if I'm not mistaken here, the Rapid Blaster Pro also, I think now I'm just eyeballing it here for full disclaimer. I think the second most used third kit weapon that I've seen out of the bunch. If I'm not mistaken here from a quick glance, which is anybody here surprised about that?
Was only a matter of time. That gun has so much potential, being able to be a cooler anchor and then on a weapon like Rapid, where you can throw this really consistent chip damage from so far away, and then you're also so mobile to the point where if you see a sniper on the map, you can like, hey, I'm gonna walk up to you, sniper, and I'm gonna start throwing these 35 damage, 85 directs at you. Or if there's a midline you're fighting, it's like, hey, I can space you out because I can just shoot, and then kites and then shoot more. However, there is a bit of a problem when it comes to having Rapid as your main cooler, as your only cooler. One, at the start of the game, Rapid is slow when it comes to building cooler. Over the course of the game, it's fine because you just throw out a lot of shots naturally, right? But when it comes to like if you're trying to just paint for like a 15-second cooler, that's not your dude. Also, gear building with Rapid, if you're the only cooler, is so hard because you need your special power. You need your charge up. You need your swim speed. You probably want a little bit of Ink Saber sub. You also want Intensify because if you jump without Intensify, you're gonna start crying. It's an absolute mess. So
I
yeah,
Go ahead. No, keep going. I was gonna
uh,
I wanted to hear what you were saying because I wanted to follow up on something.
yeah, for sure, for sure. So something that not only the second C team tried out, but also something that top players Prokara and Gray are talking about is the idea of running double cooler with it. You have your cooler rapid, and all of a sudden you have the actual gear freedom the road you want because you have a Zap or a Vanilla Dapple that can focus more on one, the opening cooler, but also providing that cooler output through the game and still giving a lot more speed than something like a pen or an edit.
Right. And the thing about that is like I talked to the Nebraska team after the update came out because we had a small little practice thing going on, and I told them, okay, we've essentially remade Cooler, except this one has its own drawbacks. Like you said, it doesn't paint as well off the get go. You always, anytime you see a pencil in a competitive match, the map comes up. You see this like little nice, neat little star appear around spawn, and you're like, all right, well, cooler in 10 minutes or cooler in 10 seconds. We'll see y'all soon. But with rapid blasters, you just don't have that at the start. You're not going to have it. It's too slow for that to happen. But that's why I was interested in when you were going to bring up the double cooler thing because the double cooler is when this comes alive. Now you have something that like say you bring out another weapon. In the case of the area cup teams, I'm seeing the 50 new 96 scout come out. You still have other options around you like Zap, like conventional options anyway, that will be able to provide that second cooler. And that really changes things for the Rapid because then you essentially have the second coming of the pencil, but now you also have another weapon that can overcome that. Now you have two coolers. It just goes on and on. It was only a matter of time until we found out just how powerful those weapons were, like you said. And I think we're starting to get there. In fact, we're already there.
Absolutely, it's just so cool. I really like what the new kids are doing for the game right now.
I'm a huge fan of a lot of the third kits in general. For any quick things that you want to know with the pro, the third kit, are you also surprised or not surprised? I guess either.
The Splatter Shot, bro?
No, no, no. The Rapid Blaster Pro, which I
Oh,
will get to the pro. Don't worry, I'll get to the Splash Shot Pro in a bit.
I will say it is funny because I was running tryouts with a rapid player and then like they immediately dropped cooler rapid and I was like, yes. Um, but I mean, I don't think there's a blaster with cooler
I don't think there is.
other than rapid. So it's not like that's surprising. Um, I mean, I guess I didn't think they would add another. Well, I guess it kind of makes sense. They might have tried to free up the cooler slot. I don't know if they think about that at all, but that like the depths. But no, it is a really interesting kit. I wonder if it had gotten a sub that was not a bomb, if it maybe would be better, because I feel like you're hurting for ink efficiency on that weapon. Um, but either way, I think it's really strong.
Julio, and I think
Yeah,
the
that's
and yep, go ahead. No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, it's great that you actually brought up the suction bomb there. Gray actually had a similar impression with the suction, which Rapid Pro is a very funny weapon because stuff that is really bad on paper ends up being all right with it. Like for example, the like Gray actually likes the feeling of wide marker. I'm not sure if more than a bomb per se, but really likes it for the ability to have a get off me option and to have immediate damage output, right? And also, even though this isn't a new kit, the VAC Rapid, super divisive gun depending on the West and the East opinion. But at the top ends of the West and also in the Eastern opinion, Vanilla Rapid Pro is really nice. And the VAC actually helps the way it wants to play the game. So like this is a weapon that makes weird stuff like Dart and VAC work. So even though a suction bomb is like way better on paper than any of those stuff, like even combined arguably, like stuff like wide marker or even like a fast chip bomb, like a burst bomb could feel nicer, yeah.
I think ink consumption was definitely one of the somewhat major concerns I had, but either way though, it's good to see that make its way through. Want to touch upon this one real quickly here. It was kind of I'm gonna say it's a matter. It was a matter of time before a shooter with missiles in the form of the Splattershot Pro's third kit make its way through. Every Splatoon 2 endgame meta survivor person was gonna probably inevitably see this. Are you at all
Oh
surprised,
no.
Pastry?
Well, okay, it's not that bad. At least it's not that bad because they gave it to Pro, and right, Pro, you're this kind of 5D type support. You're not fully like a junior or like a shot or something, right? It's like you can still play the game, but yeah, around the board, Pro is. I talked about this in my show, but like arguably the best supports when it comes to preventing someone from getting to stand where they want. Because like, say someone wants to drop in a location, you can shark and then laser beam that guy almost like a squeezer. Obviously not as good as a squeezer, right? Because squeezer has more range, but you can do that. Also, you have really good bomb output because your ink efficiency, like it's all right. Like it's not bad, but like if you want to spec into sabers, like you can, you have the freedom to do that. And your ink efficiency is like all right. Plus, on top of that, something that is really powerful right now is pairing up with another player. Like for example, in the area cup run, something that Jordan and Jared would do when they were fighting in group stage against like a top team was they would pair up in fights a lot together, where the dually runs in, does 30 damage, Bucket comes up, cleans up that fight. However, all of a sudden you have a 190 missile shooter, and whenever they want to do that strategy to push together, they want to pair up and prior to play off each other's combos. All of a sudden they can't do that properly because there's giant nukes flying from the sky. So having that niche of a pretty solid shooter that's like good at denying space and also can mess with the way people usually like to play the game right now, it's really good. I'm not surprised at all to see it get played, especially for like a top player like Utan.
I feel like this was just truly inevitable just to see the Pro arrive. Now, Pro wasn't as popular from what I remember from in this particular game, just because of some of the kits that it's been getting. Even the
Yeah.
Forge Pro is a super niche pick. But would anybody really be concerned at this point if they have to do with the Pro with those missiles?
I think it's more at this point. I believe anyone playing competitive Splatoon, and mostly from what we've seen from Area Cup and tournaments so far, you're gonna be more concerned about weapons like the Mini and the Rapid Pro because we're starting to quickly realize how deadly these weapons can be. With Splattershot Pro, I understand the concern. I was a victim of the Splatoon 2 endgame as well, and I understand how many missiles were flying in the air by the time the sun set on Splatoon 2 competitive, but it's just not as big of an issue as we thought it'd be. I remember talking to a group of friends afterwards, or as the update came out, and I thought, "Oh goodness, this is the end. Welcome back, K-Shot." But the truth is, there's a lot more to worry about in these new kits than with the Splattershot Pro. Although I will say, it is a weapon that I wish we saw more of before this new Pro came out because of like we mentioned earlier, the ability for it to deny space. But I think now with this new kit, you're definitely going to see it a lot more. It should be more of a threat. I don't know how much of a threat it will be, especially compared to the things it's going up against. But you will see it a lot more, and you should at least be a little concerned about it.
I kind of feel the same way. I think it fulfills like the exact niche that you guys mentioned, like denying the space, and especially when you give it a splat bomb as well to help give you the space that you need. I think that is really cool to have. Um, so those were the three weapons I saw that were most used. I know there was the 96. There was one team Snap that ran the 96 third kit as well. Other things to note was the dualies that also had the third kit, which I'm severely blanking on what the kit was for those dualies here real quickly. Which oh yeah, there it is. That's the one with the big bubble and the fizzy bomb options. That not surprised there. We also had the stamper with the Booyah Bomb and the Auto Bomb, the sticker Splatana stamper, show up as well, which I've noticed teams in the top 16 were running those weapons. Obviously, they didn't quite crack through the top 8, but that's kind of those weapons were kind of interesting to see actually.
For sure, for sure. 96 is it's funny enough, it's another arguably underrated gem. Like when people saw the 96 come out, it's like whenever something has marker, it's like, all right, yeah, dude, yeah, all right, whatever. It's like that kind of feeling, right? But having a mid-range shooty type support, just the archetype of that is pretty nice. It's not as slow as something like edits, and because that you can spec it with like snipers, for example, or you can even run backwards with it, and you have some pretty alright comps. Like there are like multiple players in the West, like at the top end. It's like, yeah, you can do something like that. You can do something like that with the Core 96. So it feels a very interesting middle ground between not quite the short range, super fast, spammy shooters like Zap or that, or in a Dewey's case like Dapple, right? But it's not quite that have a charge time and then just mow the opponents down or just snipe the opponents from super far away like the edit or the pen. It's a very nice middle ground. It's almost like what H3 tried to do, except it's good. And then yeah, super cool weapon there. But also the sticker Splatana Stamper. Norishio did try it. After giving it a whirl in Area Cup, I mostly see Nori start to play B Stamper at that point, and I think that's fair. Like giving new Splatana Stamper a shot, seeing how good it felt. But it seems he prefers the Zipcaster one instead, which is like is fair because Norishio has been playing Zipcaster Stamper for the dawn of Splatoon 3 and has innovated so much stuff when it comes to that. So I don't really blame him. I actually think that kid is stronger.
I'm not at all surprised with that vanilla stamper being pretty much the kid that a lot of stampers play, because it feels like fundamentally we even talk about the stamper with the crab, and then you have the stamper with the Booyah Bomb, the sticker stamper as well. I feel like the second and third kits play very different than what you're used to in the first kit overall. So not entirely surprised by that.